to take advantage of them and not die in an armchair or in bed. There are theaters, philharmonics, cinemas. There is somewhere to go. The progress of the spirit begins with culture. The words of Padre Pio. Man has closed himself. A man has closed himself, stopped all flow of wanting, subdued the good thoughts, darkens and extinguishes his power. Inevitably, he found himself under the wheel. Once he was diligent, and yet he has fallen asleep, sees in his mind strife and disputes, doesn't care about his health. Somewhere the former smile has disappeared, and he has trouble with his wings again. Preserved black thoughts watches over his own chaos. Under his eyelids a terrible pain. In this turmoil he can't grasp a. Man has closed himself. When will deep peace come over him? When will the light of the Spirit dazzle him? These mistakes great power. Will he dare to seek happiness? The paths of perspective. To fly against the current. 2050. I once asked Padre Pio, when he was still alive on earth, did he learn the mystery of matter? He answered, yes, not strange at all. He was able to move to different places. There were witnesses. In books described, he was even seen in 5 places at the same time. 2051. Your mind has to work on self-mastery and acquiring higher than human knowledge. Human knowledge actually pushes itself into your head, even without your consent. The media and media nature provide you with a huge amount of information about the world every day. If the mind is not inclined to higher sensations, it falls into the trap of accepting the world and chaotic impressions, mostly related to wealth. Unfortunately, enchanted by the possibilities of material wealth, it no longer knows how to get out of it. And he will repeat life with certainty. He will repeat this sequence for so long, until he catches on to what's going on. It is not on material possessions that a person's life depends. Padre Pio's words. 2052. Rigid rules and moral correctness kill love. But on the other hand, it is necessary to work on oneself, to control inappropriate feelings and thoughts. The human body does not even know that it is necessary to restrain oneself, to block oneself. It is a necessity not to hurt someone, or even kill someone out of jealousy, hatred. Difficult distinction, but that's what wisdom is all about. To be able to understand everything, and weakness, and virtue. This is what God requires of us, so that we can go higher. There should be more freedom and liberty for doing good. You have a lot of freedom, others have it worse. Padre Pio's words. 2053. Scientists, engineers, researchers designed blood to then shed it. Nothing survives in the galaxy unless someone kills someone and eats it. There is an exchange of energy by killing. Even Mother Nature will eventually consume our physical energy. Note, trees and flowers also kill. Why in God's mercy do we not see this? Beauty is in the soul, and sometimes we see it in the world. But immediately, it here turns into suffering and discouragement. Let's notice it at last, and not just praise God for creating such a beautiful world. Satan is precisely here to praise God for what is happening in the galaxies. The cosmic federations of evil, but also the followers see well that misfortunes are happening, but do not know how to control them. They have all plunged into impotence, living in a hellish quantum cauldron. The only thing left is hope and faith that someone will help us get out of here. Almost no one on earth is saving themselves. We are all wasting life after life. I have possibilities, but I don't want to know it. This world obscures heaven for them, the words of Padre Pio. Just as the body obscures the soul. 2054. It's hard for a Catholic and the Church to understand. Tradition has destroyed the true God. It replaced him with the devil, which is really angels, which came out of heaven, and today jump up in every sphere of spiritual and material life. What does Satan mean for Polish speech? I will say, Satan means also the robe of this world, so Fula Horak told me. Whoever worships this world mindlessly will continue to have problems with manipulation through biophotons, chakras, meridians, solar plexus, thinking algorithms of the thinking cell system, materialistic philosophy, etc., which Jesus rejected in its entirety. If the evil angels are wringing out knowledge and ideas, apart from the original God, trouble is always waiting for us, and so it is. Even clergymen can cause wars, and doctors, instead of healing, often cause more illness. Likewise with judges, etc. Jesus trumpeted this with all his voice, and we do our own, because we are so much more comfortable living in infantile matter and science. The sky has already closed to us billions of years ago. We are tramping as if in place. We need saviors such as Padre Pio or Jesus, for example. They will remind us of the origins of the crisis of the spirit and advise us on how to recover from this wound. Salvation is yet to come. 2055. After leaving heaven, we are wandering around different worlds not knowing what for. We are looking for something, sniffing around. What does this yield? We enjoy the world a little, but we continue to have to cry and die. The mysteries themselves have been programmed into us in the DNA sequences. Great manipulation and the eternal deception of science, Satan. But he too will one day be converted and stand at the right hand of God. Padre Pio's words. This is certain, like 2 + 2. But how much he gave us a burn we ourselves know from life every day, in many incarnations, on many planets, many joys and sufferings. We'd better give ourselves a break already. And let's desire only heaven. There is everything we need for existence and delight. And here, problems alone, every hour. At the end, old age and death, which no one with a healthy soul accepts. Let us finally complete this necessary university to save ourselves. 2056. Enlightenment is largely about detachment from material reality. It is not about abandoning material things altogether. That's not what the battle is about. It's about purifying the heart, causing it to become noble. It's about abandoning the dirty truth, which is the bondage of doing harm to own neighbor. And this one happens, unfortunately, in the material world, which lusts for benefits and life. To survive, one must eat. To eat, one must have what and for what. Some people scrounge for a meal, others earn it effortlessly. Moreover, bank interest, inheritances, usury. Wars are always fought over the bank's resources and their translation into oil, computer surveillance, information media, corn, potatoes, grains, bananas, cabbage, chickens, and carrots. In essence, the wars are being fought so that you can cook healthy soup on healthy water and eat a healthy egg in peace and have a working stove during the winter. I will say one thing. Power is a sham and the debasement of the angels who manipulate our soup and the warmth of the stove. Because they are evil, they mete out the punishment of being in power. Sometimes there are exceptions, but this does not apply to great kings and popes. The dirty work was done by good people, angels, from the background, advisors. It didn't always turn out well. Such a system. Through one man, a whole nation can fall. Padre Pio's words. 2057. Love for God is the center, and from it flows another holistic love. Love and love. We are the micro-love. The macro is God, the founder of our happiness and heaven. We are not equal to God, as some spiritualists and esotericists think to themselves. With our capabilities of freedom and pride, we would certainly like to kill God and sit on his throne. Some people have this way, for example, atheists. This will never work. He is such a power and love that, hey, we are only his toenails. Where is the rest? Let's be humble, and heaven will be all for us. For humility, God will give us his love as we desire. 2058. Science has led to disease and death, corrupted light, DNA, and other components. This has been going on since the beginning of the material world. God has nothing to do with it. We have spoiled ourselves, and now we are saving ourselves as much as possible. And we will not save ourselves. We have to die in the name of science and its glorious glory. Something has gone wrong. Everyone can already see that. We have messed up life ourselves, and we have to fix it ourselves. Padre Pio's words. We can only fix it by divinizing matter and dispersing it in God, and in the end move to his original heaven. 2059. If you are able to sacrifice, it does not yet mean that you are a good Catholic. And how many non-believers are superior to you in excellence, honesty, more loving than you? Faith versus love and tolerance are two different things, although they should be one. 2060. God possesses all knowledge. Science is the result of the pairing of ignorance and deficiencies. Science is our humiliation. Before the foundation of the cosmos, we knew almost everything. In heaven, there is a set of everything to know. Love and its forms we will know for all eternity. Padre Pio's words. 2061. Renounce hatred. Consider as much as the world will allow you, and call upon the wisdom that is close to you, that cuts you length and breadth. Embrace it with the effort of virtue, and abide in a state of non-attachment, even to wisdom. You will not grasp it at once. Will you teach a duck to read books or a dog the multiplication tables? If you have achieved, not wanting to achieve anything more, then you have achieved knowledge. You can no more be than a spirit, and spirit is all. In him we live, breathe, and move. Even the infernal planets rely on the power of the primeval cause of God consciousness. But our freedom causes the silence of God, not in the sense that he takes offense at us. No. If he had shown himself, we would have lost this freedom that he has made available to us forever. God keeps his word. Padre Pio's words. 2062. Don't fully trust material knowledge like you don't trust your senses, because they will always cause a deficiency in your heart. Despite their bitterness, scientists unfortunately trust it anyway, because that's all they have left in this life. However, if you knew how to combine spirit and material knowledge, it would already be your better option. Anyway, knowledge is needed as long as there are shortages of it in the universe. But someday it too will come to an end, when everything will become open and accessible. On this earth and in the galaxies, no, because here progress arises and disappears. Such a treacherous system someone created it. The fullness of everything, only in heaven, after leaving the territory based on the energy of the material suns. 2063. Why do galaxies collide, suns explode, planets get destroyed and hit by meteorites, and sometimes planets collide? Where does this come from? Thousands of stones fly around the earth, some the size of a stadium. They will hit the earth eventually, not yet in your generation. Padre Pio's words. Earthquakes, cataclysms, etc. The answer is quite simple. Scientists, what created the cosmos, left it in part because they got saved. There is the simplest lack of cadres and volunteers, scientific demons to control life in the universe to the end. The micro and macro cosmos are left to their own devices, and we have no idea what will happen next. Fortunately, there is someone who can clean up afterwards. God. He will do it at the end, when the last fallen angel descends from the field of the universe. That's why these stones are flashing through the universe and hitting where they fall. Satanic scientists are becoming fewer and fewer. No one wants to work on the cosmos. Intellectual resources are running out. There is a shortage of hands to work. Maybe it's good or maybe it's bad. Jesus said that this fairy tale and space sky game will end badly, a complete collapse, and everyone will return to heaven. It will be a beautiful sight. 2064. He who has acquired sanctity of feeling and delicacy should be reasonably happy outside and inside, even in the bad conditions in which he lives, that is, in a universe composed of gases, dust, stones, radiation, and turbulence of various kinds. Even here he can feel deep happiness. It is sown from the hope of liberation. 2065. Learn this truth that purification, enlightenment, and unification reside neither in the house, nor in the forest, nor in the computer, nor in the stadium or the cinema. Be free of ego's prevarications. Turn to your deepest self in this matter. In the very corner of your soul dwells God, but you won't see him anyway, not until heaven. When asked to Padre Pio, did he see God on earth? He opined, no, and no one in space can see him. Jesus, on the other hand, was seen. Books even write about it. 2066. The pristine tree of freedom abounds in all kinds of flowers, in works of mercy and compassion of various kinds. As long as this world, which should not exist because it is utopian, continues, there must be a way out of it. Jesus taught about avoiding the universe, because it is very dangerous. How to do it, how to avoid it, you yourself must decide, even before you are born, before you enter your mother's womb and are born. The best thing to do is to never be born here again. Padre Pio's words. Reflection. As the mirror absorbs the reflection similarly, on the heart's day of joy, the smile of the only and Holy One enters the footstool of the soul's open glory acts of life. Then sing with a sweet voice, the unadulterated light of God. With his gaze, he wanders over all the fires, and behold, he approaches for a moment when excessive vision comes to the being, of which he is its literal part. And it seems at this rapture that its voice, out of love, has fallen silent to listen to this brightness to the end. Who is this being who emerges amidst pillars of light, like the warmth of a dream into waking and happy shapes? Neither resist nor repel. All is seen through it, and the heart enchants with one gentle glance, and absorbs into itself like a mirror figures covered with radiance. 2067. The history of the creation of the image of God and his worship in our solar system goes back hundreds of thousands of years, even millions. Civilizations have risen and fallen, and with them culture, progress, religions, and cults. An ancient rabbinic text states, "Before Adam there was world after world." So it's safe to say that God and his extraordinary attributes, the religious cults associated with him, were all formed by mankind. The most interesting thing is that every religion, every denomination says that only their faith is true and the only one. For this faith, they are ready to give their lives in a fanatical way, while another religion laughs at their truth and tells something different. We have a huge number of martyrs who gave their lives for the faith, and not only in Catholicism. The soul rebels against ignorance and needs God, so it approaches him from different sides to learn something about him. This is not bad, but it makes a lot of problems. Since the curtain of ignorance has fallen, after the angels came out of heaven, different versions of God, hypotheses are created. And it is even said that God is an atheist, or that he is the whole world. However, you have to start your search for God from something. Seek and ye shall find. Buddhists, for example, do not talk about God at all. They believe that eternal life is achieved through purity of heart. How close this is to our heart, and the heart of Jesus. 2068. Pay attention to your sensations, sufferings, joys, and infer their origin. If you experience knowledge of their cause and effect, it means you have been enlightened a little. 2069. Understand that the human body and its sensations in this galaxy are your personal paradise lost. If you find higher ideas, you will regain your paradise and your beautiful body in perfect form. However, don't count on it happening in this world. No, you can only regain the potential of memory and dream of what your heavenly life will be like. Continue with faith. You will have to live on the threshing floor of the material cosmos until death. Only then will your odyssey begin, which you dreamed of before. 2070. Human life is simple and extremely nice. But if it goes wrong, it gets so complicated that it doesn't even fit around the brain. Hence so many different mental and physical diseases. It is known, 90% of illnesses are due to nerves and stress, the words of Padre Pio. So it is better to discover that life is very easy and simple. Let's not complicate it for the benefit of pharmaceutical companies and all the medicinal chemistry that is happy to cure us, or rather, only sustain our diseases. And the production of chemical specifics is reaching its apogee, translating into billions of dollars for corporate bosses and their henchmen. Isn't it better to be a simple person and love the world, flowers, herbs, people, and God, mystically and physically, and remain reasonably healthy, joyful? No one with a bag of pills on his back was born. It is better to live in harmony with nature, even though it does not give eternal life. We will feel better. 2071. What I am going to say is perhaps an insult to science. From whom does life, free will, and the ability to desire come from? Well, from God, because from whom else? I don't see any other possibilities. Whether life and desires are one way or another is the ultimate finality, his doing. Therefore, who has a good heart, should God at least a little understanding and even justify him. Because what else can be done in this situation, when evil and good intermingle in free will? I'm thinking, like a horse uphill, and I can't understand anything of myself anymore. They say that free will, responsibility, and these other wonders of garlands. But all this is also His doing. Well, because who? We exist, laugh, love, and argue, because He graciously keeps us in the sun of His eternal energy of love. The wheel buckles and spins evenly, as the great adventure of life. Whoever created the trees, the animals, the human body, and the galaxies, it's a matter of God Himself anyway, because someone did it through the power, free will, and intelligence He was given as a gift. Ultimately, even the infernal planets are a gift from God. Someone made these decisions, and the decisions are made by the soul, which is the work of God. As it turns out, freedom can be a huge threat. Is it possible to ask, God created souls wrong? No. After all, He Himself is free, and as you can see, He does not threaten us. He does not even interfere in our lives. So it is possible to be right. One has to want it. Most of God's children are just like Him. You can check this for yourself by getting to heaven. Problems are only in the science and cognition of matter, which turned out to be a huge misfire, as a destructive fire of the intelligence of the soul, burning a serious blemish in it. Now it has to be healed. It takes reincarnation and billions of incarnations, because one life gives practically nothing. Unless one goes like a storm towards the salvation of his trapped in the body consciousness, then it is possible. It is enough to love everyone, to be good to everyone, to justify everyone. Then one goes quickly to heaven, Padre Pio's words. Direction. You will go the only way not to lose the golden ribbon, to overcome the deafening silence, a thoughtful man. You think too much and not enough warmth in your eyes. You hesitate among the paths of choice. You don't know what to choose from the landscapes. You want not to miss your happiness. You doubt you'll ever get there. Return to your crossroads. Recognize anew the only way. Let your heart be a signpost, a good thought a guide. Then you'll regain your colors again. Your lips will shine with poetry, and at the same time the shafts of wisdom will pile up. Your face will shine like a beautiful blossom, will grow abundantly. You will smooth the way as it was at the beginning. 2072. All creation in this world is the work of funny and crazy space geneticists. They got intelligence and free will consciousness from God for free, and they went crazy about it. It will pass them by, like any rookie youngster on Earth. The cosmos will burn out, as will our lives. A few more moments, a few billion neon years, and they will forgive themselves with these unpleasant experiments of playing celestial life on planets that rust and moth eat them. We can already afford more, heaven back, after these adventures in suffering and death. We are on the right track, even when nothing works out for us. But consciousness blooms instead, and she is everything. She is eternal life. The energy of thought in life, at death and after death, is always eternal. What matters is the quality of thought, spiritual knowledge. It determines everything. The body is weak and will rather be lazy as long as it lives in quantum and atomic power. All the electromagnetic energy of the macro and microcosmos is a failure. It has the terrible power to kill everyone and everything. This is strange because modern esoteric mystics, physicists, say just the opposite. Let them think so until they go gray, eat their teeth on their knowledge and die. Ideas destroy the world. Don't they know that? Let them finally learn and change their thinking and rebuild their pride-destroyed soul. 2073. When we acknowledge our weaknesses and contradictory actions to our attitude, then we become honest and trusting to our soul. The soul praises us when we recognize our failures, inadequacies, curses, and even a complete collapse of values. It is important to see this and reflect on the power that makes it happen. To notice the power that makes it, that one does not overcome it. As we understand this, even actions and uncensored words will not cause our condemnation. On the contrary, God looks in the heart, not at the weaknesses that must appear, because we live in such a galactic system. That's why Jesus uttered the notable words of all time on this subject. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. 2074. Goodness, beauty, material forms, including those more subtle than subatomic matter. Happiness, health always attract to God. It is worthwhile to dwell on this. 2075. Everyone is called upon to improve their lives, to fundamentally change the course of their thoughts, changing them to one that is kind to everyone, friendly, good, hearty, and friendly. Then heaven is guaranteed. Insolence cannot appear in the heavenly realms. Heaven is protected by the sword of love. 2076. Everyone must strive for a spiritual life, whether one wants to or not. Earthly civilization is finite, and paradise was never here and will never be here. Padre Pio's words. Everyone is dying, even earthly rulers and gods. There are those who dream of an earthly heaven, but nothing. Heaven is elsewhere, not in space. Heaven is in the new earth and the new sky, in heaven, and not in a material bag of energy, which was created by the knowledge of fallen angels. The world of pure philosophy has fallen, selfless love has fallen, so man has also fallen. He poisoned the environment of body and spirit. But after the Reformation, he will renew himself and try to get closer to the knowledge of Jesus, which to this day is not appreciated. 2077. The point is for us to regain the lost taste of the Spirit. Everyone is primarily responsible for himself. That is the assumption. But if you are in the current, pull others towards heavenly love. The whole civilization, even the fallen one, will benefit. There will be less suffering and more health. In a healthy body, a healthy spirit, he says. The most important thing is the soul, but take care of your physical health too, so that you don't complain about yourself later. Padre Pio's words. 2078. In fact, you never needed to be born on this earth. The fact that you are here is your personal failure. Fix it. Learn to share everything you have, and you will return to where you teleported from. Reverse this extreme tendency to forget about heaven, preferably today. 2079. Try to return with your thoughts as often as you can to the consciousness you have been missing all day for millions of years. You will gain much. It costs little, in fact nothing. You have the thoughts for free and always at hand. Heal the world as much as you can. Today everything is already poisoned. Water, air, and food. Padre Pio's words. He once added to cook everything for a long time. The chemistry with the fumes will partially cook off. Tried Lord of the tried in love. Even the death of a wife or husband or friend will not frighten mortally. Man who does not delight in this world is not attached to anything. He is a hero earthly knight, fighting for hope, faith, and love. Through wisdom he becomes your temple, Lord, and to the end of earthly days he can reign by faith. 2080. Material thoughts and actions can never discover the meaning of spirit action in the original. So cut off the imaginative speculations that are the root of your imaginary way of making yourself unhappy, and let consciousness remain unclouded. However, don't try to stop the imaginations, and don't forcefully rip them out of the mind, but let them calm themselves through goodness and love. If there is no rejection or acceptance by the excessive ego, you are free and at peace in this world. In heaven with God, there are no more of these problems. Everything is allowed. There you don't have to do anything, you don't need anything, but you want everything. Padre Pio's words. I repeat them around, but in a different context, although not necessarily. I keep talking about this heaven ours. There you fill yourself with what you want, with whom you want, and how you want. You get to know what you like as an adventure. Sensed it. Raised the hands of sight, swept the will in the political foreheads. The rival of history became time, and the partner turned out to be the masses' opponents of tradition. The respect of modernity, apparatus of concepts fell silent. The resilience of intuition opened up, stubbornness extinguished. The point of reference, the face of tolerance. What kind of world do we enter today? Do we enter in the freedom of swallow, or the multiplicity of galaxies, or into the system of love? 2081. Beauty must be visible and touchable in thought, speech, and deed of the soul in every body in all universes, and in heaven. This is the rule of the game of love. Heaven must be seen. Padre Pio's words. 2082. externality, and even the death of the body, is of little importance to the soul. Everything that is created in this world, by the hands of God, that is, children, rebellious angels, is without permanent substance. So look for the ultimate essence. The mind darkened by the body of deductions and forms cannot recognize the spiritual mind, which never accepts the images of suffering and limitation. Neither ear has heard, nor eye has seen, what God has prepared for those who love Him, says the Bible. This is where the Bible is right. Not everything is completely wrong in it, as in life. A few sentences of the Spirit tore through its pages. 2083. God can be recognized, but He cannot be seen at present. Because we live outside heaven, and He lives in heaven, that is, in a light inaccessible to any aliens and hierarchies in material universes. He is also inaccessible to the Pope. General schools today don't even teach about this, that God currently cannot be seen. They do not teach at all that God exists. There is only material knowledge. As we ourselves know, matters of the world and existence in it are not simple. Ignorance is so great that it creates views and beliefs that have little to do with reality. And we have to live in such a situation. For analytical minds, it is not easy. Actually, it's not easy for everyone, because everyone thinks, and at the same time experiences sadness at the fact that they make mistakes and are wrong in almost everything. 2084. If we want to suffer, there's no problem with it. There's an infinite amount of it on the earths of space. It is better not to suffer. There is only one place where one does not suffer, the fantastic heaven of God. It is there to be pursued after the unfortunate fall of many angels, which we also are today in human form. To get to heaven, everything has to be changed, and the current attire on the soul also. The robes must be perfect, otherwise they will not admire us. No one will adore us. Without curiosity and adoration, sad would be heaven. On earth, it is a little similar. Every day I see your guardian angel in a different dress. Padre Pio's words to me. 2085. It's not that we will cause happiness and contentment on our own, because we have our own independent soul. Yes, we can do it, but in 1%, let's not forget, we are only angels and not God. We got everything on lease, even our souls and happiness. God can blow out the fire of any soul, Padre Pio's words, no problem. Only aliens or material fictions of happiness, children of God, what ruined their freedom, can't do it. The whole life of any pseudo-heaven or material hell and the real heaven is dependent on God. One must ask Him to nullify the effects of our conscious mistakes. One can ask God for a good mood, for contentment even with nothing for no reason. God will give, but one must ask. Because the aliens or anti-heaven, the universe, and in it intelligent souls, will do everything to make you forget about God and His possibilities. In fact, every second you forget about God, you can see for yourself what an uncomfortable situation this is in the energy of the universe. The material heavens are actually a blackout. Nothing is certain here, and everything will fail you. Even the love you would like to consume as it should be. Francis of Assisi understood this perfectly and knew what he was about. That's why he became what he was. 2086. God is the greatest wonderful love. He arranges the most beautiful balls in heaven, in which we can all participate. 2087. Gender is drawn to gender. That's because souls are gendered, colored by feminine and masculine aspects, without qualities. For eternity without procreation. Childbirth occurs only in the rejected or material worlds. But souls remain sexual in a higher way. Hardly all beings in heaven have heavenly bodies. So do souls on earth, but they are volatile, changeable like fashion. And they dress in beautiful clothes, just like on earth. There is something of heaven on earth, Padre Pio's words. After all, the cosmos was created through memory and patterns coming from heaven. Everything in the likeness, but not very successful. I asked Padre Pio once if there was gender in heaven. He replied that, yes. And as we know from Jesus, in heaven you don't marry or get married. There you will have everyone at your disposal, all of heaven, Padre Pio's words. Defense, beloved gusts of my life calmed in heavenly radiance, peace, love, pleasure, and lasting. My inner self tried, I will already defend myself from sadness. For my heart in joy constant, in pure thoughts and lofty feelings passionate, I defend everything that's insipid, that's lame, that's lopsided. I choose only love. With love I fill the present and the remaining days, and I take you to my heart with certainty of happiness. 2088. Even if you help just a little bit to one angel on this holiday, you will really do a lot. Padre Pio's words. Immeasurable feelings of gratitude and love will one day flow for you for this. This is not about self-interest, but simply helping. Because perhaps you understand more or else, and this gives impetus to angels, people rising to God. Everyone will one day stand at the right hand of God anyway, but the sooner, the less suffering. And that's what it's all about. 2089. The idea of Jesus as God is beautiful, even though he was only an angel. He never came out of heaven, unlike us. Like us, he was created as an angel, on equal footing. The church went a bit overboard with his spiritual biography. However, Jesus was smarter than us. He deserves to be called God, because he was faithful to him to the end. And on this he won. The moment he was born on earth, he was immediately sought out to be killed. He came to his own, and his own did not accept him. A problem to this day. 2090. What a ridiculous world of galaxies and Earths placed in it. One might say, hopelessness. Because even hope is something we have to strive for. We often forget about it and get depressed. Let me remind you, every 4 seconds a suicide is committed on Earth. Heaven is damn. When will we understand this, that our destiny is quite different heaven, other Earth? Unfortunately, we love death and disease. That's why we are born here again. How can you love something like that? I say, and I have done it myself hundreds of times. I have decided to live here one last time, and I will succeed. I know that, because I don't care about anything in this world anymore. And Padre Pio also added to me, this is your last turn. And I also know that after that I will continue to help. I think everyone will. Heaven will not be heaven until the end, as long as the former celestials are still meandering in space. When the last wanderer returns, then there will be fullness of joy in heaven. Padre Pio's words. It will be a ball in which no one will be missing. 2091. Worlds of happiness can be found on their own. On Earth, these will not be ideal worlds, even on the contrary, catastrophic at times. Here we will be confronted with various problems. Work as a cause of civilization's darkness. Loneliness as a coded misunderstanding of own fellow man's needs. The breakdown of health as a result of the soul's entry into molecular biology. The genetic prohibition of seeing the entire spectrum of beauty with own eyes. And many more problems, such as exploding gas in a cylinder, wrecking an apartment, an ambulance that overturns with a patient, where as a result of ailing injuries to the cellular body, he dies, etc. But when you find the core of life, you already belong to all the angels from heaven. They will help you through their information channels. Because I might add, the universe is reserved for fallen angels, and no one from heaven can interfere in this hell of nature, where you have to kill other species to eat them gracefully, and then shamefully excrete them in toilets, or under a tree for another energy for your personal life. God respects the freedom of each of his children, even though he could destroy the entire failed cosmos in one move. But he loves all of his children, even the galactic ones of those satanic angels, which have dragged us into the work of the failed material cosmos ruining lives. And God, despite everything, tries with secret knowledge to help everyone. And he helps. That's why we always have a chance to get out of here to paradise. True. Reincarnation is involved once by God, once by evil cosmic scientists. We have to justify God at all costs. He gave freedom, and we value it greatly. The good and the bad possess it, all on equal footing. The choices belong to us. What we sow, we will reap later. People value freedom so much that they are able to give their lives for it. Padre Pio's words. 2092. There in heaven and love is not disguised. Each and every one are impressive. After all, you know this because you were there once. We return through the cosmos to the former delights. To God, here the pleasures have failed us. Wealth and change of partners in the cosmos is a serious problem, because the soul outlined and envy others, and true love does not envy. 2093. This life is all about tasting the marijuana of love. Through it, you can get to know the great being of the essence of delight, God. This is important, and perhaps the most important. 2094. As you gain more information about the cosmos, matter and soul, you will understand your existence more broadly. You are still too young in spiritual progress to formulate a bullshit view. Satanists have worked hard to create paradise for you. Despite everything, it didn't work out, but they don't want to let go. Too bad. However, in billions neon years, they will let go, because they will get tired of the constant control and extraction of artificial energy from their own and others' souls. God is great, He has energy to infinity, and the fallen angels only for a few hundred neon years. And this is the end. Didn't Jesus announce the destruction of the material universes? He spoke about it. Let's appreciate His divine knowledge. What's next? The angels, that includes us, must let go of their resistance and pride. Did you know that your bones are already lying in many cemeteries? You are an extremely old soul, but the party of cosmophobes tells you that this is nonsense, and you say so. You prefer to get drunk, drugged, science, religion, television, than to get to the core of being. A party of cosmic scientists, ignorant of the divine consciousness, destroys your angelic consciousness every day. Resist, do not be afraid. They will not do anything against your will. For she is no stronger than all the groups of galaxies in which billions of angels, souls, children of God live. After the fall, to this day they still have serious problems getting to know their eternal parents anew. In you, everything is possible. So try, Padre Pio's words. 2095. You should know what you feel, and you must want to know what you should feel. However, this world that exists independent outside of God is full of threats to the body and consciousness. This is important knowledge. 2096. Any way you look at it, the church exists because of dancing, courtship, desires for love, sex. Doesn't it? Without that, it would not exist in any way, because it needs members in its ranks. 2097. If you pray to God, you can also mention yourself to Him. Why not? But most of all, given the morass of galaxies and the civilizations inhabiting them, pray for all those purgatorial souls scattered throughout the cosmos to realize their mistake and reconnect to God, who is the best parent of all. He begat them before the foundation of this world, yet for eternal happiness and fun in heaven. All universes, otherwise fallen heavens, must save themselves. There is no other option with God. Time is, but galaxies and earths and suns are falling apart. There is less and less energy. We must slowly rush to save the souls of the angels and all their artificial, governmental, cosmic hierarchies. 2098. The soul does not need to strive for balance, only the body needs it, so as not to hurt someone. The soul is crazy because the love in it is crazy. Positively, of course. Love has nothing to do with meditations, concentration, artificial calm, prayers. All this is still needed in the galaxies, where there are stairs themselves. Love of God, it is expression and delight, feeling and thought. Therefore, we need to discover God and His love, because it has no equal in caresses and frenzy. But we still have some steps to heaven. Feast and bales are yet to come, golden-headed, like the scent of fresh crystal water. You are all luminous Mario. With noble shame you cover yourself with a transparent mist. A miracle can be seen above miracles. It is you and a million angels in hospitality. Sits gazing with the melody of all the fragrances. I sing songs of gratitude, robe-clad golden-head intoxicating. Your scent sprinkled with water, love fills you, your smile prolongs my happiness. Pure desire covers blissful peace, Mary. You are revealed in the highest consciousness. By your side I wish to understand the beauty of my life. 2099. The accumulated darkness in the room will be lightened by a single lamp. Similarly, just one moment of enlightenment and understanding of life will dissolve the veils of hidden secrets. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Such wise words were preached by our friend Jesus. He understood the way to know the cosmic universe, not created by God. God has nothing to do with this world. We only have His soul within us, but so hidden that most people don't even know they have it. This is why the great philosopher Jesus stated so long ago that one should look for the true creation, which is not in this world. The true creation is only in heaven. Here there was only an attempt at imitation from which much good did not come out, only strange physical hybrids. A great highway of suffering was built. Mystics talk about it all the time, that this world, the cosmos, is not good mortal. It seems that not only mystics know this. 2100. Not materialism, not forms and incantations, not fundraising, not economics, commerce or politics, not cars, not phones, not artificial piety, can free the soul from DNA structures to move to the level of feeling great happiness. Gadgets won't help much in this. But in order not to go mentally crazy, we temporarily need to use them, because the body demands it. Such a structural system of biological nature has been applied to us. Only after death can we free ourselves from it. But we, while still in this life, constantly try to go beyond the network system of human thinking with concretes, at least for a moment during the day. It is worth it. For example, with understanding, several times a day recite one, Our Father and Hail Mary. This detaches effectively for a moment from the materialism encoded in the biology of our body and mind. These heavenly prayers raise feelings and thoughts to a very high level. Padre Pio told me that only these two prayers are from the higher realms, from heaven. Although already slightly modified, they still have power. Vision of destiny. Neither in gold, nor in silver, nor in empty hands, you will not find your vision of destiny. Even when you penetrate everything across thought and body, you will not find that intoxicating chance. Although you would have many chests of precious stones, you will leave everything by the earth. Your spirit from other colors, it does not need applause, but pleasant delights. How nice that you unveil the pages of your heart. How nice to these glances. No one will believe that you depart from apparent shapes. They have eyes but do not see. They have ears but do not hear true tears. They do not believe you already see beyond eyes. You love beyond suffering. 2101. Just as God did not create the axe, the machete, the knife, the tank, the multi-purpose helicopter, the missile, the battle gas, the Matechko painting, or the computer, the water tap, so He did not create utopian nature, a little more complicated than our non-cognition. We will someday discover the truth beyond this Jewish Christian one. Then we will find out. But we still believe that the spear, scalpel, and axe were created by God. It takes a bit to move your head and see how subatomic force is killing us constantly. Did God create the energy axe, frequenting us with nature's suffering and death? It was created by rebellious angels. The cosmos is their creation and not God's. God created once and it was heaven for us with us. And we abandoned it, creating the anti-heaven. This is the original sin that the Church mentions. Now humbly, and through love of God, we must liberate ourselves from this anti-heaven. A difficult thing, but also easy at the same time. The saints know how to do it. They know, but they close their mouths from revealing the whole truth about cosmic matter. E.g. Padre Pio knew this. That's why he was so attacked by the most powerful scientists, geneticists of the cosmos, that is, Satan. However, he too conformed to the Church's tight doctrine. Nevertheless, he declassified a few things, such as life on other planets in space. In addition, he created a channel in Nowa Huta near Krakow for personal conversations, through which he transmitted knowledge to us, to thousands of people for decades. There he told us things without witnesses or the Pope's censors. 2102. If you are praying, meditating, studying too intensely or doing unabashedly, wallpapering in your new house under construction, it will not be very comfortable and even stressful for you. Such is our genetic structure, designed by rebellious angels who have hidden from us our eternal potential for love given from God. Don't be seduced into thinking that God created this world and your body. That's what the mystery of the cosmos is all about, that you should consider this imperfection of mortal nature to be the work of God and not someone else. Do you finally understand this? You have been manipulated by the education of the Bible and other scriptures. God does not create evil. God must be defended against this false human ideology. Notice, everywhere you turn, there is evil. Good is very little. Even the sun can destroy you, not to mention other dangerous rays in the cosmos. We have been addicted through body chemistry from emptiness to the activity of existence. Terrible manipulation. In this life, even patience sometimes causes suffering, stress, and illness. So you must release the excess energy of happiness and emptiness. Otherwise, you will drown in the matrix of the mystery of life. And God will not show you his heaven for now. There is no chance of that. We ourselves got ourselves as angels into this difficult and complicated life, ending in suffering and death. And we ourselves have to get out of it. The sons of salvation have already been many on earth. Recently, Jesus came with his knowledge. But we still suffer and die. We have to digest this salvation knowledge ourselves, recompile it into our own salvation. Then God will help us to live here one last time. Song, tell me what it means to love the world. Tell me, you know it. Today I want to know it too. Teach me to look straight into the distance, to have regrets. You carry me with you somewhere. That's you. I feel good with you. You are my brightness, my freedom. That's you. You have carried me away with love. I want to taste you. With a breath I see. You wonderful is this world of yours. That's you. You embrace me. As I approach it, that's you. You ask me what it means to love the world. I will tell you. You know it. Are you cuddling me with heaven? 2103. Family is the one who talks to you, sympathizes with you, shares your thoughts, soul, and not just the one who has similar physical cells from you mutated and cloned. Blood ties are not family, rather a tether, an addiction. Practice shows this. Jesus knew this too and did not fail to say something about it. His mother and brothers came to Jesus, but they could not get to him because of the crowd. They said to him, "Your mother and brothers are standing outside and want to see you." But he answered them, "My mother and my brothers are those who hear the word of God and fulfill it." It was then that Jesus spoke to the crowd about important matters of the spirit and daily life. These fallen angels were more important because they needed knowledge on a moment's notice, and not the physical family. 2104. How can you see God with your eyes when they cannot see the basic rays? Infrared, ultraviolet, etc. They can't even see the air. If you reach for the eyes of the soul, then yes, even through earthly rays you could see many interesting forms. With human eyes you can see heaven, Padre Pio's words. God not necessarily, but heaven yes. Full vision only after the death of the mechanical body. It is worth waiting quietly and already looking forward to what wonderful adventures in heaven will be. If we get there right away, surely everyone will get there, even the spiritually corrupted scientist of the cosmos, and even the greatest god of the material universe, Satan, as we call him today. A matter of time. One does not have to be canonized to get to heaven. Many supposedly canonized by the church are still living in the purgatories of the galaxies today. That's what Padre Pio told me. Human canonization is not a command to God. He is not so naive. 2105. Can I live a life of wealth or poverty like St. Paul, who attached himself to nothing? Do you know that money, power, and materialism pass away like the wind? It doesn't matter if you are poor or rich. What matters is that you feel the blues of the essence of life. The rest will clarify and arrange itself for you, even without your special effort. After all, God does not harangue or live in any labor kolkhoz, and you are a bit like him. Hard work is against God and in favor of cosmic, crazy scientists and economists, Satans of innovation of the collapsing civilizations of the material universe. Because all of them like one will fall. They have no power from the source of life. Jesus also spoke about the end of the material world. Besides, he was not the only one. Today's scientists say the same thing. The annihilation of the universe is inevitable. 2106. Jesus often said, "Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." It is not difficult to understand the language of Christ when we do everything to carry out his plan of love. Anyone who loves is not a complicated person and knows where he is going. Love will take him to the top. It is enough just to be good to everyone. Padre Pio's words. Love is always good, forgiving, even though it sometimes puts up a little resistance to wayward and meddlesome souls. I'm your affection I see, someone similar to me. What then is my affection? Oh, these circles of friendly kingdoms, how much love. I perceive divine smiles and beauty tender to touch. What would it be? I ask myself. I awake in the interior of happiness, and my unity with you more pleasant than the sunrise. Oh, these circles of friendly kingdoms, we carry everything with us, and what we do with friendship is true. We look at the moon-covered hills. We hear the talking echo of waterfalls somewhere, eyes fill with brightness to the brim. This world flashes where it should. We shine the star that remains to grace this mood. Love that forgets the nights of rasps makes me like and tied to you. 2107. Why is there a mystery to our incarnation and birth in this world? Did God decide that? Absolutely not. We live in a world that is only a reflection of heaven. And here we are governed by other laws of science that were created by the angels who came out of heaven in ancient times. These engineers genetically banned knowledge of ourselves. You can't know how many times you've died and lived on different planets. Why and for what purpose? You are supposed to live like a spiritual menace and die. You are supposed to educate yourself, be creative, use different talents, go to a brick-and-mortar church. But you are not supposed to know anything until the end. To unravel this ignorance, cataclysms, accidents, wars will not help. They mean nothing and will do nothing in this matter. They will only worsen the situation of your soul. Everyone has a spark of God within himself. He must seek this spark himself and get acquainted with it first of all. Because it is your core of consciousness and love that you can pour into everything and have eternal happiness because of it. Knowledge is love and love is knowledge. Knowledge is also seeing and seeing is caressing, smiling, delighting. This knowledge should be sought. We will then discover our own palaces given to us as a gift by God. In heaven your palace is already waiting for you, and not just one. The words of Padre Pio. 2108. When you cut the root of a tree, the leaves and branches wither. Similarly, when you cut off the root of material thinking, the activities of the mind will calm down. You will attain playfulness and peace. The wisdom of the soul will be revealed. The mind imbued with material light, neurons thinks, but overlooks God and the possibility of eternal existence. The mind is unable to think otherwise. It needs matter. When we saturate it through deeper reflection, hope, and heavenly dreams, we will allow the soul to be more active and in this world. We will help the world achieve greater joy without excessive ego. This is important, to think with God and beside God. This is a task for aliens of all sorts who are slowly preparing to return to the house of the Father and Mother. 2109. The sorrow you control, bear it patiently and humbly. It is very creative. You are sort of wounded, but nevertheless happy. Retaliation does not always pay off. Yes, sometimes it is necessary to stomp, but just as if. The heart must always think differently from the leg or hand, which clenches itself and prepares to fight. Thinking with arms and legs always ends badly. The strong in spirit do not use the force of the body, nor the force of mechanics. Quantum. Point of life. There is a point from where everything came to light, weary, and sharp vision knows it. Your head was still wrapped in the shadow of unconsciousness. When this point was in its center converges all that is and what is yet to come. In brightness supreme and in darkness is, in your eyes, in your heart, in your hands. It is when you shade your pupils, when you forget, when you reject, it still exists, A whole series of names are associated with this existence even when despair reigns in. The name of life, it is 2110. With God there are no secrets. They are only in the unoriginal heavens or galaxies. Secrets are there to manipulate you, to deceive you, so that you do not know why you live, where you come from and where you are going. As you can see, this tendency of secrecy is still in force. Hence so many thinkers, philosophers and books about puzzling life. The civilizations that arise have two main goals. One, to discover the mysteries of life, which goes very hard, and the second goal, to play with the world, recognizing death and slavery. It takes maximum effort to open up to God. This pays off for every angel, a lost child in the cosmos, that is us. Ultimately, you are born on earth to find God and to save yourself. Padre Pio's words, 2111. Just as there is a different human body with many characteristics, so it is with the human mind. The soul is something completely different. It is featureless, and as it dresses in a heavenly body, it can always change it at any time with its emotions. Therefore, it too is featureless because of its fluidity and flexibility to shape it. Not only that, the heavenly partner who delights in your body, if you let him, can also in his imagination adjust it to his mystical needs. It plays infinitely. And all love builds contentment and the glory of God in heaven. In heaven one does not have permanent qualities. Padre Pio's words. Key of history. The bonds of ages with the cells of presentation techniques of the experiential present are as if self-consistent concretes of scientific creative premises with essential values of destiny symbols grow into visions of relationships of sense answers, and in new and old effects, philosophizing plays the role of sensuality bending into the understanding of being with very popular materialistic results. Updated true facts of body and soul define excitable history of life without quoted. History of illusion, who chooses simple goodness. His book Before Rational Sense becomes positive in primary truth information. Transformation of teachings into existential dimension of timelessness becomes classical approval of seekers 2112. If the church is to talk about renunciation of the world, material desires, etc., it must at the same time explain why this process is the only one to achieve liberation and salvation. If it doesn't explain this rationally, the faithful will have no desire to move in the spiritual direction, that is, in the direction of love, peace, joy of heart and truly wise progress. The truths about material energy are so constructed by materialist angels that they are very deluding. They can actually be manipulated by will, even to the point of attracting misfortune. But that's not the point of your will dealing with material energies. They will all disappear at the death of the body. You definitely need something more. One must claim own eternal life. 2113. Cosmos as evolution supposedly good, but in its effects bad does not make sense. Although if we look from the perspective of hell, it does make sense. However, since we have anchored in this port, it is necessary to shake off and sail away from here. For every energy of life in the galaxies is designed to deceive and corrupt you. You will educate yourself materially, acquire high offices, habilitations, and you will still be swept out of this world, generally to the same. If you enjoyed selfish intentions, you will return to the world of corrupted soul energy. The soul has a taint, so the world has a taint. Padre Pio's words. These are very subtle messages. You touch them at the very edge of the abyss. You will love Kabbalah, you will perish. You will love religion, you will perish. You will love mental visual materialism, you will perish. You will gain all knowledge within your temporal spatial body, you will perish. You will be born, you will die. Youth will deteriorate into old age. Orgasms of material happiness will lack vision and strength. On the other hand, since we have the soul of God within us, anything is possible. You can use every force to get to the ideal world, which was mentioned by Jesus, Plato, Socrates, and other wise philosophers of the spirit. You have to do good and fix this world, mechanically and spiritually. Then, there will be more encouragement to look at the world with your eternal eye and change its fields of destiny. 2114. Think. Tractor, oil, laser, rockets, computer, surgery, plant modification by Monsanto, Jewish NASA telescopes, Jewish Google, chlorine, arsenic, chicken eggs, lard from pigs, live plants eaten, defending themselves from your digestion of them, should no longer matter much to you from now on. Because nature is artificial and temporary, inexpertly designed by the great scientists, the creators of the galaxies. Sick of hubris and glamour. In this world, everything was designed out of the selfishness of the angels, who gave up on the proposal of God. They preferred to set up the galaxies as alternative, their heavens. We fell for it, because every angel is influenced by others. We are in this failed heaven as former and great angels. But so what, as every now and then we have to say goodbye to this world, only to bloom again like a flower. In a moment to wilt. This purgatory lasts almost indefinitely. Padre Pio's words. 2115. God gave everyone free will and personal responsibility for everything. So there is nothing to jump up and blame God for evil. Pretensions not entitled. We went along as ancient, magnificent angels, nowadays actually animals. That's the way it is, but somehow we have to cope in this pile of hay. The soul has never liked, and does not like the physical body. It is inadequate to the soul's capabilities. We must return to the original body from the original heaven. The senses of the physical body obscure the soul in heaven, Padre Pio's words. So why are we in this body? To afford us a better. 2116. Here we cannot give in to discouragement and false material, legal, constitutional knowledge, usurpers of the earth, countries, states. When we find the state of God in His heavens, then we will always be happy. Here it will be different and uncertain all the time. Unknown universally from the streams flow out. Don't say you are subject to empty mysteries. Random phenomena do not exist. There is only a maturation of our growth. A measure of feeling is overlaid with different poetry and full of different words. Do you want to try the beauty of your own individual life? Enter into the depths of spirit and do not finally praise what passes irretrievably, and do not swim in the shallow oceans of consciousness, because one day this ocean will dry up and you will settle at the very bottom of suffering. After all, there is another science, the loving heart. 2117. Our planet, it turns out, is a village in space. There are billions of such and more magnificent planets. On each of them, the bodies of the souls that inhabit them die. Even Satan dies and is born again as a scientist and mystic, the leader of spiritual materialism. Unlike us, he does not lose his memory after his birth. But the replacement of the body with a young one occurs somewhat differently. He is not eternal, he has mastered reincarnation. For this reason, as long as he rules the universe as a pseudo-god, he gives us everything. His technology of nature, which we call divine, hits souls with all its force, degrading everyone, reducing us to the need to breathe, eat and excrete leftover energy. Satan saves himself and us as best he can, placing all manipulated souls on the wheel of birth and death. And so on and on and on, until we shake ourselves through self-power, knowledge, and cut off this cosmic umbilical cord of his. After this cutting off, we will never again be born in a labor kolkhoz. We will end up in heaven, eternal and pleasant. Life on our planet is a kolkhoz and purgatory, Padre Pio's words. 2118. Life in the body bakes various marks on the soul. The soul in the heaven of material galaxies mainly suffers. The real heaven is something completely different. There are spiritual planets in heaven, and this earth has something of heaven. Padre Pio's words, as the cosmos was modeled on the original cosmos. Our cosmos could not stand the test of existence without God. It fell into a great depression due to the lack of a comprehensive supply of divine energy. It lacked it because of the hubris of the founders of these alternative heavens. The cosmos is unsustainable. It will disintegrate just like any sun, planet, or cell in our body. 2119. One wise in spirit and body man can do more than the great technical hardware of civilization, church, than the best working telephone, radio, television, or internet network. Faced with the brilliance of the soul, There is no comparison with anything. The soul is the center of everything because it has an ego, an individual. And therefore, everyone is the center of everything in God, and even in the hellish realms of the material planets. Earth can be counted as purgatory because there is freedom here. In comparison, when it comes to God, all the universes created by angels are just a microscopic dot on the nail of God, practically meaningless. Such a distortion, but how hard to get out of it. And in the meantime, by eating badly, we suffer so much unnecessarily. We rub our hands and feet on it all. What is there to say? However, salvation would come in handy. 2120. The secret of happiness lies in the servant radiation of goodness. The technique of moving and shifting the soul's energy body is only a spark in the face of the vast field of experiencing happiness with consciousness, or the ego. Happiness is contained in the emotions of consciousness. In fact, consciousness and emotions move and travel between seeing and seeing between images. If we have an atomic body or physical body, there are serious difficulties in traveling. The sky is far away from us for this reason. Lack of possibilities, cellular limitations. Thought and emotion in the body are paralyzed by the vibration of material light. Only beyond light, beyond quantum, beyond gravity do we become real in the original. We pass into a full world of sensation and freedom, lined with flowers of endless emotions of love in the various corners of heaven and in our own palace. Scale of experience, affliction of longing, the effort of man unable to place the addiction of eternal hunger for happiness, authentic test of the emerging spirit. Powers is the scope of looking at love and freedom. Among the breakthroughs, poetry, vision of the world. Task of the soul, unspeakable love. Solitude of creators ends with the great classical liberation of happiness. In the actions of transcendence, paths of the past disappear. Then 2121. Humor, skit, joke add power to the soul. It's a serious matter. As long as they are not flat. Padre Pio's words. 2122. For Francis of Assisi, the most important thing is love towards God and the entire programmed by fallen angels universe. Looking with love at the failed galaxies, Earth or other planets of death, it must be said that we neutralize some of this evil. Everyone has a conscience, and eventually they will learn from it that they are doing something wrong. Therefore, the famous philosopher Jesus brilliantly said in this context, "Do not resist evil. But if anyone strikes you on the right cheek, turn the other cheek also. To him who wants to make right with you and take your robe, withdraw also your cloak. If one galaxy collides with another, let it happen. If someone shoots at the faithful in church, let's turn the cheek. We can't avoid it anyway, even if we lived in fallout shelters. Death will get us everywhere, and life in space is not that important. Odd a game of good and evil. Evil shrinks and shames the moment we show a good heart and understanding for everything. Final, good and evil go in the same direction. Evil turns into good, good into love and closeness. In galaxies, experience and time are needed for this, although we didn't have to experience it at all. But if, 2123, regarding criticism, this is the most sensitive point of the ego. Almost everyone under the tide of criticism generates evil in themselves. Everyone almost lacks the strength to bear it. A lot of crying, annoyance, hatred, anger, and, well, injustice. Sometimes it also happens that you don't know someone, and you are already criticizing him. And vice versa, you know the truth, you are fine, and they slander and hate you. Criticism in general is not good. Love is only good. Can deception, criticism, persecution, and war be approached with love? It can, but only the angel from heaven Jesus and his mother Mary were able to do it. No one besides them can do it hardly. But yet they are like that, because otherwise they wouldn't get to heaven. So it is possible. Perception of knowledge. Like a ring on the finger shines the comparison's feeling. Find success, strength for purpose. All you have to do is sit quietly straight without honors and decorations and absorb the infallible energy deep into yourself, where law ceases to be law, where pain ceases to be pain and the mind turns to volatility, the heart turns to song, If one foresees it sooner than death meets it, means heaven. 2124. Although all religions are false, untrue, created by an act of ignorance or manipulated knowledge, where one contradicts the other, I would determine that Catholicism is the most appropriate religion, by far. That's what Padre Pio told me, if one needs religion at all in own stage of knowing God. I also discussed this with Padre Pio. Whoever is strong in the knowledge of cognition from God, religion is not necessary for him at all, nor any prayer. But for the time being, at the level of present consciousness, some signs are still needed. 2125. It is also the case that even the great mystics were able to adapt to the huge errors in religion, and especially to their hermetic dogmas, to all kinds of falsities of philosophy and theology. This was the case, for example, with Padre Pio, with Saint Francis of Assisi, with St. Teresa the Great of Avila, whom they wanted to burn at the stake for heresy, with Saint John Bosco and others. Even Saint Sister Faustina. That's called humility. However, privately these saints thought in their own way. They physically conformed to the rules. We can imitate them in this. They wrote as they had to write, so as not to go beyond the canons of dogma. Nothing in front of the Pope. When something was transgressed, the content of their writings was changed. Nowadays, the Pope speaks more, and a little can be ahead of him for 2-3 steps forward. There is such an absurdity in religions that the stupidity of dogma is more important than all of humanity. When challenged, religion can kill a person in the name of this false god. It creates moodiness, superstition, coldness, intolerance, and lack of mercy in the faithful. If you have different views, the priests and the faithful would most willingly trample you, forgetting that you too are just as much a child of God as they are. Many priests are more fit to hold a rifle in their hands than a host, Padre Pio's words. Religious paradoxes abound. God and knowledge and religion are two vastly different realities. In the name of religion, it is forbidden to admit this in order not to lower its prestige. Huge insincerity to the unrevealed truth of life. All revealed truths are human, created for the purposes of power. Not revealed, they are divine. Reason and logic will lead everyone to God. Religions, on the contrary, to a false idol. The path to God begins with atheism, materialism, and culture. Then the next pitfalls, Padre Pio's words. 2126. Any knowledge, any feeling, any premonition can cause encouragement for spiritual work. Without motivation, none of the people will decide to search for the soul of life. 2127. Politicking and careerism sown with ego materialism. It's no good. But one has to go through it as well. At least those who are drawn to it by their own past. 2128. Involving yourself in anything in this galaxy, always have a distance to it. It is a risk to engage wholeheartedly in anything. The stress and nerves alone. One direction of thinking causes a handicap in the view. You have to see everything around you and a little even further. Nevertheless, seeing everything in this world humiliates the soul, because it can see much more wonderful forms of existence. In the end, all views in human religions should be bagged up and thrown on the bonfire. Man will then become happy and free. He will feel within himself the boundless eternity of love surrounding him. If only he allows it with his will. God is waiting for this. God is not ecclesiastical, nor is he religious. Jesus encouraged all of us to follow God. So, 2129, you have time at your disposal. You run out of time, you run out of God. If you have not used your abilities and creations for doing good, you can confidently say to yourself that you have wasted your life. Almost everyone on earth wastes life, Padre Pio's words. While you're at it, act and think positively, with a view to great things. Therefore, watch your activities so that you don't waste your life again. Again, you may miss out on the greatest pleasures of the heavenly world. How long will you delay this? Millions of years. So much torture in galaxies, in labor and death camps. Come on, turn away from it. Look beyond the atom and the quark. 2130. Almost no one wants to submit to the true spiritual science of good love. Human souls have gone to sleep in the hypnosis of materialism and human science. Trapped, as sticky as for flies, they have fallen asleep in impressions and do not have the strength to break out of this slumber. The eternal world is much more interesting than all the pleasures of earthly life.